It's Supermoon Tarot here, back at it again with another pick-a-card. Today we are going to be answering the question, should I give up on this connection? Sometimes it's totally worth the fight. You know, you just gotta overcome some obstacles, get on the same page, and other times you're wasting your energy and resources. The other person doesn't have the same intentions you do, or the relationship itself has just run its course. No matter how much you equally care about each other, it's just time to move on. So let's look at the signs, what's going on, how's it happening, how did it happen, what's gonna happen, anything that sort of comes through in the cards. Pick whatever deck resonates with you most. I know it's hidden amongst all this beautiful flowers and such, but look past that and find what resonates with you. You've got group number 1, 2, 3, and 4. You can go down to the description where the timestamps are below, and let's get started with group number 1. Group number 1, let's answer the question, should you give up on this connection? Your first tarot card is the Tower in reverse. The King of Pentacles in reverse. I'm already vibing that this is you and this is your partner. King of Swords in reverse. Ooh, Knight of Pentacles in reverse. I'm already seeing a trend popping up. Yes, Judgment upright. Okay. Oh my God. Guys, I think I'm going to be giving you very positive news, but I really shouldn't jump the gun. I should read the rest of the cards. The Magician in reverse. Well, that makes sense. Yep, the Moon. Just repeating ideas. The Chariot upright, and your last card is Page of Cups upright. Okay, give me a second to look at all this and get my story straight. Okay, so something I just want to point out, I don't normally point this out, but Spirit's telling me to point it out, but this, keep in mind this is a general reading, so if these signs don't apply to you or your partner, don't worry about it, it's water under the bridge. But for some people, they need to hear this. So in the Knight of Pentacles and the King of Pentacles, both in reverse, these both repeat the signs Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. These are either their signs or their sun signs somewhere in there. This is you or your partner. And I'm just pointing that out. If it doesn't apply to you, water under the bridge. Let's get to the main part of the spread. So this is all kind of repeating and flowing into each other pretty cohesively, and the main problem of the relationship itself I want to point out first. In the King of Pentacles in reverse, this is your motif. Everything that's kind of causing this strain on the relationship is due to your partner's insecurities about what they have to offer being enough. This also does refer to not just the insecurity of like, oh, am I cool enough? Am I funny enough? It is a concern, especially, and I see this repeated again in the Knight of Pentacles, about financial worth. How much they make equals their value. And unfortunately, it is a strong, intense focus of theirs. I get a little bit of a denial thing going on here in the King of Swords, and even in the Magician in reverse gets repeated that to them, this feels like this deep secret that nobody knows about. But you actually know them pretty well, and you're very aware of this, but somehow they haven't connected to that yet, and they feel like it's the secret they're keeping from you. So when I talk about a secret being kept from you in the Magician in reverse, that's the secret. It's not even a secret. It's a secret to them, but it's not a secret to you. So in the Knight of Pentacles in reverse, this talks about being very focused, almost single-mindedly focused on earning some sort of status via finances. Yes, socially, but again, the social part is around the reputation of being financially notable, like with other people that are financially notable. This is somebody who wants to be friends with all the higher ups at work type of situation, other rich people, celebrities, stuff like that. And there is just a laser focus on it. Because again, from the, we understand where they're coming from, their insecurities of what they have to offer, and especially around finances and stuff like that. Now, the way they are trying to achieve this and approach a lot of different interactions in life is through the King of Swords in reverse. This is somebody who constantly changes their personalities depending on whoever they meet. So if they need to be quiet, that makes themselves more attractive. They will be more quiet. They will be more social when they need to be social, a flirt when they need to be a flirt. Whatever it is, they seem to be very malleable and adaptable depending on the social situation. But while sometimes that's like a positive thing, in this case, they're never truly being themselves. This gets repeated again in The Magician in reverse. This is about somebody who isn't being their most authentic self. Again, it's not coming from a place of being generally cruel or trying to manipulate you. There is a sense of manipulation, but I don't know if manipulation is the word I would be using. That would be saved for somebody who's like an abusive type of relationship. They just so desperately want everyone to see them in the best light because they're not quite sure that what they have to offer is just universally liked, and they want to be universally liked. Also, in The Magician in reverse, and it gets repeated, the same concept going on in the Moon, is that your first impression of them was not the right one. So it looks like as you got to know them deeper in the relationship and you know them pretty well, I can see that here in the Page of Cups especially, that you realized let's say they came themselves off as Prince Charming. That was the thing that got you going, and they played the part well. They ended up winning you over. But once you got to know them, you realized how much they changed from person to person to person, and you really understand right now that that's how they're defining themselves. Now, here you are in the Tower in reverse. This can be viewed two different ways. I kind of feel like it's both, but especially with the Judgment card being here, the Chariot, and Spirit's actually speaking up right now, I think it's the latter. So I'll tell you both. One is the idea that you're aware that this is their problem, and you don't want to deal with it anymore. You would like to not get caught up in that, because if you did, it would really bring you down. It would, it's like their problems will take you down as well. And there's a separation of being like, I'm done, I'm not involving myself with that, which could heavily imply the idea of giving up on this connection. But this also refers to more specifically that all of this being a problem is that's been a problem for a while, I might add, that gets repeated in many cards, but especially this one, that it's going to come to an end. And when does it come to an end? How does it come to an end? All those good questions. So in the Judgment card, I can see you're going to be tested. This is something that can refer to being tested against one another, but I'm getting a stronger pull, and spirits also tell me that this is going to be a test you do together. So something that you're going to go against together will be difficult, but again, I'm referring to it as a test, because once you push through it, you will then become closer as a couple. This is going to be kind of the creme de la creme. This might be the thing that, from when I'm looking at these other cards, and also Spirit is speaking up again, I have a feeling this test is going to really, I'm getting kind of sorry, when Spirit talks to me, sometimes I'll get like very like emotional, like I'll feel the emotion of the other person they're going to experience. Your partner is going to kind of have a breakdown emotionally. This is going to really break them and make them feel so exhausted they're unable to express these concepts anymore. Again, the King of Swords is about denial. They are not fully even aware they're doing it, and they're going to kind of have to finally face that and be aware of it and be too exhausted. It's not necessarily that they've accepted themselves and they're like, yeah, I'm totally fine, I'm confident. They're just like, I'm too tired to keep up the charade anymore. I think it might just be easier to accept if someone doesn't like me or not. I just want to be with you, someone who does accept me and get me. But that test, is it gonna be a win or not? Well, it's hella gonna be a win. It gets repeated through all of these cards, which is the yay of the spread. In the Chariot, this directly talks about victory, that it's all gonna, you're gonna win. And interestingly enough, it talks about the success of being able to control two different things at the same time, and opposing concepts. So it looks like they're going to finally be able to handle that part of their personality that's insecure and be able to handle interacting with others. So there's these opposing concepts that they just try to, instead of accepting that they were opposing, they would try to make one side work with the other instead of accepting both needed to exist at the same time, that yin and yang concept. So it looks like they finally accept that, they get it, they get over whatever they need to get over, and they make that connection. But something really important to take note of in the Page of Cups is all of this is done through you being, in the Page of Cups upright, super affectionate, loving. You're going to want to be very vocal at this time about when they win, be very vocal about their successes. You want to be very empathetic to when they're going through a hard time, but you want to show a lot of that affection. This is a lot of physical, rubbing their shoulder, giving them a hug, telling them they're special. Don't beware of being too motherly. You don't want to take on that role, but you just want them to have, when I see the money thing being such of importance to them, they want a lot of physical proof. So if they can see you smiling and they can hear the words, I'm happy, that made me happy, I liked that you did that, that's the proof they need to know that they're headed in the right direction and give them the strength and to kind of solidify these better perspective on themselves and the way to interact with other people and you. And this is like the creme de la creme of the whole spread, is the Nine of Cups upright. The Nine of Cups basically says you're going to get everything you want. Like 100%. No ifs, ands, or buts. Like, it's the ultimate. For me, you can interpret relationships in any way you want, but this for me is one of the most positive ones, even more so than the Lovers, because somebody can be your soulmate, but maybe things aren't exactly as you want them to be, but you still have this deep connection. This is about, like, no, it's perfect. All the problems you had are going to be done. You're going to be totally in harmony, a lot of love and affection. You're going to become stronger from going from this test. This problem that's been kind of plaguing you guys' relationship for a whole is going to end. So no, you should totally not give up this connection. This is about fighting for it. It's going to be worth the fight. There's going to be a lot of connection in this fight. So definitely keep going for it. You're meant to be together. Make it work. It's going to be an awesome relationship in the end. So if you enjoyed hearing about this reading as much as I enjoyed giving it, please consider giving it a like and subscribing to the channel. It helps out like you would not believe. And let's get ready for group number 2. Group number 2, let's answer the question, should you give up on this connection? Let's look at your first tarot card. Nine of Cups in reverse. Four of Cups upright. I think you guys should theoretically be fine, but there looks like there's a boredom, a mediocrity thing going on, but we'll pull more cards to figure out. The Hierophant in reverse. Three of Cups in reverse. Interesting. Eight of Wands upright. Ace of Swords upright. What is going on here? Oh, Eight of Wands again in reverse. Oh, okay. I have a feeling I know it. Yep, the Sun right here in reverse. That makes sense. These three cards are kind of roundabout saying the same idea. Your last two cards are Ace of Pentacles upright and oh, Knight of Cups in reverse. Okay, now this makes sense. This makes a lot more sense. Okay, so let me just look at everything to make sure I got the story and facts straight. Okay. So Let's talk about how this relationship got together in the Eight of Wands in reverse. This is a fast relationship. You got together, you gelled quickly, very passionate, very quick, possibly very quick in the bedroom, and then kind of out of nowhere, it just died. It just went cold out of nowhere. I don't think this was, from what I can see, any particular reason other than because the momentum stopped building continuously and just naturally had a lull. Your partner seems to have taken it a little too seriously and intensely, and it's causing this boredom effect over here. We'll talk about why they are susceptible, prone to that often in the Knight of Cups in reverse, but let's go over here. So in the Nine of Cups in reverse and the Four of Cups upright, these both indicate that your partner has everything they have asked for within you in the relationship. Everything's fine. It should be fine. And yet they feel not satisfied. That's what the Nine of Cups is about. The Nine of Cups in reverse talks about how you got everything you wanted, yet emotionally, it's just still not doing it for you. You're still just not happy. Maybe there's a little bit of not fully knowing what you want. I think that gets repeated again in the Knight of Cups in reverse and talks a lot about their short-term type of attention span when it comes to romance. In the Four of Cups upright, this talks about, again, you have everything you want, but you're starting to feel bored because nothing is really hitting that note that brings out the passion, this little rose here, the passion in the relationship. Again, nothing happened. It looks like you just naturally needed to go back to the, natural routine of life and going to work or whatever you're doing, going to school. And just that stopping of not, oh my God, what are they going to say next? Oh my gosh, they met me here after school. For you're totally fine, but for them, they're suddenly becoming disinterested or bored or reading a little too much into that. I can also see here in the Three of Cups in reverse. Well, let me talk about how, because this is a general reading, this can have two potential different meanings. I'm thinking the latter. In fact, actually, Spirit's telling me it's the latter, but I'm going to give both in case it applies to you. With the Three of Cups being next to the Hierophant, both in reverse, this can refer to an unconventional relationship through hooking up, like both of you are hooking up with one another's friends, and there's just kind of like an openness to a lot of people around you in the bedroom, and kind of an open relationship sort of thing, which is not necessarily a negative thing for a lot of people, but in this case, it is. It's not working for you. It's creating a problem. It's like they're turning to that and making an excuse that it's okay to go about doing that because they're bored. But what I'm feeling it's more referring to most of you is in the Three of Cups in reverse, this talks about friends, and this can directly refer to shallow friends, like maybe you think their friend, the friends that your partner has, they're not the greatest. They're not helping your partner, which is in turn not helping you. But overall, it's about how one another isn't meshing with each other's friend groups, and it's kind of becoming a problem. We'll talk about why that's all kind of becoming a thing. By the way, I forgot to mention this. I don't want to forget the sun in my way I'm reading it. Because of this boredom, by the way, they are starting to unfortunately view you in a picky type of mindset that you're like not exactly who they want you to be. Again, there's the like, I have everything, but they're being overly picky. And honestly, I don't think that you're not who they want them to be because of incompatibility. It's like, again, they're so caught up with that sense of fast passion. Now, where that comes all derived from, and this is where the friend group is involved, is in the Knight of Cups in reverse. This refers to a neediness, a constantly need to be reassured that they are loved and that their attention. Unfortunately, it comes from a lot of personal gratification, instant gratification, I might add. It's a very superficial and selfish type of feeling, which is why they might potentially have around them superficial and shallow and selfish friends. So when you needed to, obviously, like, you had your first kisses and hookups and it's been a little bit, and now you're kind of getting in the motion of the ocean that most people look forward to in a romance, they consider it a lack of passion or boredom or a lack of newness. So they might be spending a little more time with their friend group because they constantly need that newness, that sort of, they're the life of the party, they're wanted, that sort of adventure going on here in the Knight of Cups. It's not a good thing. It's okay when some people are lacking a sense of confidence, but this is definitely a problem. So here is where this big event kind of pops up in the Eight of Wands up right here. This is a really big, fast, just thing that pops up, and it's asking you to go along with it quickly, because this will be the huge dramatic change into the new phase of the relationship. In some circumstances, depending on where you're at in the relationship, it can refer to like marriage and kids, whatever that dramatic shift is. So maybe the dramatic shift is being more okay with a day-to-day life, and they stop being so social with their friends, and they start to be more home with you, watching movies, whatever works for your, the opposite of whatever's going on now, essentially. Because again, this is a general reading. But anyways, this opportunity comes in really quickly, and with these two cards actually in combination, it talks about when you take this opportunity and you have this new phase that can pop in, there is the promise of longevity, but only if your partner takes on this opportunity with equal amount of effort that you put in as well. So what is this opportunity? This gets hinted at in the Hierophant in reverse. This is an unconventional sort of way of thinking, an unconventional new adventure for the two of you. This would be something you're going to basically not be able to miss it, because it's going to be so out of the norm of what you would normally experience together as a couple. So again, let's say you're a couple that always goes out and hangs out to the bars, or you always watch movies. Randomly, there's going to be an opportunity where your schedules line up and you're both able to go to a safari trip together. You both are suddenly invited out and you're going to go do rock climbing or whatever. It's going to be totally out of the norm. It's going to put you both in a mindset that is not the same rigid belief systems you both had before with one another, and therefore you're able to understand each other and yourselves in a deeper, better way. And this is where kind of the promise all come together. Now, the Ace of Swords is really important, because as this opportunity comes in quickly and you want to take a hold of it, do not second guess it. Don't be like, I need a couple weeks to think about it, because you're going to miss it. It's going to come by really quickly. As soon as you jump on it and you go about this really unique sort of opportunity that would be out of your norm, and I would say out of the norm for most people. It would be just in general weird to anybody. It wouldn't be the day-to-day for most people's lives. I'm just trying to help you be able to identify it the best way possible. You're going to want to really spend that trip having just frank discussions. It looks like that when they started to kind of pull back with affection and passion because they thought the passion wasn't there, you're aware of it, but you're not expressing it enough in the way that's so clear-cut and can't be mistaken, and they're not really fully explaining their intentions and why they're pulling back. So this is a 100% honesty card, but it's about approaching the conversation in a way that's very upfront, but still vulnerable. So you're still going to say, listen, I'm hurt or whatever, but you're going to want to not be so emotional that you take things personally. You need to be able to be really to the, X, Y equals Z. Okay, I hear what you're saying. Normally, if I heard this in any other context, it might hurt my feelings, and I'll let you know it hurt my feelings, but let's keep moving forward in the conversation so we understand where everyone's at. Again, equal effort. The work, this is where the work you're both putting in, and by being in this totally different circumstance together, it makes you both vulnerable enough and in the right mindset to be able to have this discussion. Now, here's the big question. Should you give up on this connection? I cannot give you a solid yes or no, because it's depending on one central factor. When this opportunity pops up, if your partner in any way, shape, or form, because I don't have an indication that they're not going to do it, I just have a lot of advice right here. So this more depends, this is kind of like up in the air to your partner. So if this person doesn't want to take this opportunity with you, or while you're at this convention, they're just really not putting in the engagement to have these discussions. They're not trying. You feel like you're the one guiding the conversation. They're not giving back in any way, shape, or form. That's your answer. It's a solid no. They are still going about their ways. They're still concerned with how they can get instant gratification and passion right now. In fact, it feels, if that's the case, they don't really necessarily have this deep, heartfelt connection with you. Unfortunately, they're obsessed with more the idea of love than you as an individual person that they share love with. But if they do put in the effort, that's where we get this totally opposing, opposite idea going on with this section of the cards. This is when they realize that they need to overcome this. This is when they pull back from hanging out with certain friend groups and shallow tendencies, and they start to see a depth and a different side to you, that they realize there's a different way to feel whirlwind romance, even if that tempo is slower. So the answer depends on that in particular. So there you go. Keep your eyes out for it. There is the positivity for it. It looks like everything should be fine, but it isn't. You just need to reignite some passion and get on the same page with each other through these means, and look out for that. If you enjoyed this reading as much as I enjoyed giving it, please consider giving it a like and subscribing to the channel. It helps like you would not believe. But either way, have a lovely day. I can't wait to talk to you in the next one. And let's get ready for group number 3. Group number 3. Let's answer the question, should you give up on this connection? Let's start with your first tarot card. 10 of Pentacles upright. Okay, so I should not get so excited because you never know what the rest of the cards say, but that is a very positive card. And this is why you should not get too excited soon. 7 of Pentacles upright. This already feels like some sort of discussion or negotiation. Knight of Swords upright. 5 of Pentacles upright. Queen of Cups in reverse. 4 of Cups upright. This is so weird. This is a really opposing spread so far. Okay, so let's figure out what's going on here. Oh, 10 of Swords. Okay. 10 of Swords in reverse. 7 of Pentacles double twice. When it repeats, it's very important. It's something you should pay extra special close note to. 10 of Swords upright. Interesting. Repeated again. Man, so close to each other too. And Page of Pentacles. This is such a unique spread. Oh my gosh. Okay, so what's so unique and interesting that's going on here is we have you represented here in the 5 of Pentacles and your partner represented in the Knight of Swords up here. On one hand, we have you, a serial dater. This is somebody who's going from relationship to relationship very often. It's where you're comfortable. You like the general feeling of being with someone else in a partnership. But on the other hand, your partner seems to, especially with all the fights going on, it seems like they have a problem with dedicating themselves in a long-term way. This gets repeated here in the 10 of Pentacles and the Page of Pentacles being so close to the 9 of Swords, both upright and reverse here. Now, the reason why I say it's so interesting is you think for someone who has a problem with commitment and the other person who doesn't have a problem with it, this would be a clashing of swords. But no, these two people are fighting for each other. They want to be with each other. Now, to clarify something, your partner's not against commitment as in being with you. This would refer more to the idea that they're afraid of maybe the traditional, marriage, something like that, traditional. Maybe they've never lived with someone else and the discussion was about moving in together, and that's kind of opened a box of worms of like, well, if you don't want to move in with me, then what is the long term, like, do you want to be together forever, da 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 da. And they just have like certain phobias about that, clearly, because like, why would they simultaneously want to fight so hard to be with you? And they're very honed in and dedicated and want to be with just you. They're not being with other people, but then at the same time have just such a negative reaction and constantly trying to pull back from what you want, which is more of a long-term dedicated thing. So it looks like in your background you were dating around, and there was a lot of, you know, relationship to next relationship, with always the prospect of, you weren't someone who was casually dating around, you were looking for your partner. And it seems like you did meet a lot of people that were good enough to fulfill the basic line of, they're nice enough, they're cute enough, we get along well enough. But it just looks like you were in general pretty bored. That nobody was really making you feel over the moon or making you experience that deep sense of connection and love the way you just so, you know, you really are going out on a limb for this other person. Because in the Five of Pentacles, this talks about loving regardless. No matter what, no matter the odds that you're facing together as a couple, and there are some fights happening, that you still accept and understand that they have that phobia, but you still want to fight to be together in the long term. It's kind of a really interesting catch-22. And despite their own phobias, this talks about, you know, no matter what, going into battle, a sense of like moving forth with gusto, standing up for their beliefs, but also the belief of wanting to be with you. So they're really not backing down in how they view the situation, but they're also not backing down from wanting to be with you. So here's where everything kind of starts to spark and happen. Something happens. Some sort of tragedy, something like big that you guys experienced together and had to go about together. And now this can refer to either there was a tragedy and you both had to deal with it either separately, like against each other, or together as a whole. I'm getting more, Spirit's telling me more of like a together as a whole concept for most of you. Again, this is a general reading. But once that happened, you were like, okay, I really want to think about and talk about the concepts of being together for the long term. Whether your ideas of the long term involve like marriage, kids, whatever, this gets expressed in the Ten of Pentacles. But this is the idea about longevity in a relationship and building something bigger together. So you approached them after this tragedy or just really intense experience that happened together in the Ten of Swords and upright, and you were like, listen, I'm going to need some sort of proof for right now for the long-term commitment. It's like a current proof for long-term investment, so to speak. So you wanted maybe a key to their place. You wanted a marriage proposal. I'm giving you baseline traditional ideas, but it can be unconventional too. It can be whatever it is. It's a clear definition that they want that, and they're going to give you that as time goes on together. And that was just a huge clash. That clearly wasn't received well, and that's when it started to bring up all the problems of like, they don't want that, and then you're like, who am I in a relationship with? But they were still showing you that they did want to be in the relationship. Lots of confusion, it feels like. Now, something to really take note of that's important are these two kind of almost, again, very opposing ideas. The Seven of Pentacles that gets repeated here, because the Seven of Pentacles is being expressed as going to your partner and saying, these are the things that I want, these are my expectations, and then backing away. That's the important part. Letting and understanding that you've set the groundwork of what you want, and it's really up to them. And that's kind of where you're at right now. It's up to them to make that decision of if they want to be with you. And the main thing you came at them with prospect-wise was, again, what we've been talking about this whole time, that you really want to build something bigger with them. They're it. They're your special one. They've got your spark. It's no longer a boring serial dating game with other people. You accept that they're dealing with this, and you'll wait, and you're being very open with them, But that's the key, you're waiting. Now, as you're waiting, after having let them know your intentions and what you want out of the relationship, this is either going to happen or this has happened. And if you're waiting to hear kind of like how it's all going to turn out, I've got really good news. So the Ten of Swords in reverse is like a really intense, terrible, horrible fight to the point that you probably thought you broke up. You might even currently be on a break right now. Like, it was bad. It was so bad. It was awful. But here's the thing. This is about how it got so bad, but weirdly ended up working in the benefit of the relationship. That after having this really intense fight, you better understood where the other person was. Maybe some people made some compromises. Whatever happened, it brought you closer together as a relationship. Yes, there is a period of understanding for some of you that you're going to have this fight and you're going to have to wait and let them come to you. Or for some people, you're waiting right now and you're preparing for this fight that's about to happen. Fight for them. They're going to fight for you. Go for it. Don't back down. They're not back down. But keep letting them know that you understand what they're going through, and that it's that duality of like, I love you, I respect that you have your problems and fears as a person, but that problem and fear could prevent me from being with you, and I'm going to still keep wanting to be with you. And don't get wrong, they're totally going to be kind of that both of being like, I really love you, but you have to respect that I don't want this. Just keep going for it, keep fighting for it, understand it's going to bring you together. So overall, the answer is, yeah, you should totally fight for this connection. It's worth it. I do see longevity. It's meant to happen. It's really positive. There's actually some karmic ties here in the Five of Pentacles. Not karmic as in soulmate type of situation, but karmic as in your relationship is meant to happen. It's like almost a reward from the universe for the good things that you've done in this lifetime. It's got a great significance. There's lessons to be learned and a lot of things that you're like, it's more than just being like, well, I really get along with this person. You're like on a universal level meant to be with this person. So it's a hell yes. They want to be with you. You want to be with them. It's going to seem really almost like it's over, but don't worry, it's not. You're going to be stronger and better for this. And I think it's totally fine. You set the groundwork for what you wanted. I think you did the right thing, but definitely be aware of when to give space and let them evaluate what they need to evaluate. So overall, pretty positive. I'm glad I can tell you that it is worth it. If you enjoyed this reading as much as I enjoyed giving it, consider giving it a like and subscribing. It helps out the channel like you would not believe. But either way, I hope you have a wonderful day. I am wishing you the best. Let's get ready for group number 4. Group number 4. Let's answer the question, should you give up on this connection? Let's start with your first tarot card. Ace of Pentacles in reverse. Wheel of Fortune in reverse. King of Cups upright. The Magician in reverse. I'm feeling like we have a troublemaker. Spirit just said that right now. The World in reverse. The Lovers upright. Seven of Cups in reverse. Interesting. By the way, love this little weird, goofy snake dude. So funny to me. Temperance in reverse. Also an absolutely gorgeous card. 9 of Swords in reverse. Last showcase, I just love, this is one of my OG favorite 9 of Swords interpretations. I just think it expresses the idea so well, and it's just so cool with the hands in front of the head. And your last card is 3 of Cups upright. Yeah, we've got a troublemaker here, and it's all centered underneath the Magician, which is your representation of your partner. You're definitely being represented here in the King of Cups. Yeah. Okay, so Let's start off with the main problems going on here in the Ace of Pentacles in reverse and the Wheel of Fortune in reverse. I can see here that both parties are not putting in the same equal amount of energy into the relationship as the other one is. So I get the feeling, especially in the King of Cups here, that you're really trying to make it work. You're doing whatever you can to show little gestures of kindness. You're trying to understand them. And it kind of feels like your partner, especially in the Magician in reverse, is just kind of letting it fall to the wayside, isn't terribly concerned. I can see that in the Wheel of Fortune in reverse, that talks about how it can refer to both of you, but in this case it's just your partner taking the relationship for granted. Yeah, they just seem, I don't know, they just seem like a troublemaker to me. In the King of Cups is where you're represented. We have this opposing opposition with the Magician in reverse. King of Cups is, you know, you're concerned about the overall well-being of your partner. You want them to be safe. You want them to feel secure. You want them to feel welcomed. You're somebody who simultaneously not only cares about them having a place that feels, you know, safe to live and have enough food, but you're going to make sure that they are included in all their activities and their ego is pet. And it's just the all-around, like, a really wonderful support system overall. And that's the main thing I'm getting, is they're aware you're giving them the support system. They're not terribly focused about it. They're getting rewards from that support system, but they kind of could take it or leave it. You know what I mean? Compared to some relationship spreads I've read where people really like hone in and want that all the time to themselves, and there's like a clear awareness of it and wanting to have it to themselves. They unfortunately could take it or leave it. In the Magician in reverse, this is somebody who's not being totally honest with you. It often points to how your first impression of them was wrong. It talks about how, you know, maybe they came off really nice and loving, you know, they made you feel special or whatever, and now you've gotten to know them a little better and you're like, wow, that's not them at all. And you can kind of feel that there's always something on their mind that they haven't fully expressed. But not in a deep, cool, mysterious way, in a like, I feel like I'm getting the short end of the stick here. The main thing, or wait, do I want to get about here? No, I'll start here. So, as those are clear problems of a lack of balance going on in the relationship, that kind of idea continues over here. So, in Temperance in reverse, this talks about how there are issues going on, but they're not actively being worked on. I don't feel that you're the one who wouldn't, because like here in the King of Cups, I can tell that you would be down to hear what they have to say. You'd be someone who'd be a good listener. But unfortunately, it looks like the person who you're with, like when we talked about inequality of energy, just they can't be bothered with dealing with the fact that they're not putting in the energy, that they're not trying, whatever are the blips that you need to work on. They just aren't really taking that into consideration, and this is where they are kind of getting their fun or whimsical, mischievous nature taken out in different ways. In the Nine of Swords, this talks about somebody who is creating problems where there aren't any. And they are unfortunately bringing it, looks like, into your social groups. So this is somebody who potentially could be, you know, I mean, I don't see any clear, I don't want to like put words in anybody's mouth. They could be maybe over flirtatious with your peers and your friends, but this is more pointing to their kind of picking fights, causing a little mayhem and chaos, having a little fun in a bit of a dangerous way with your social groups, and kind of taking the energy you wish was curbed and understood in a negative way towards your peers, and in a way to avoid the main problem. It's kind of like they're enjoyably making problems worse and worse and worse. It's weird. It feels very mischievous. It doesn't feel evil, but it doesn't feel positive. Now, the main thing that would solve this, which is kind of feels superficial within itself. Normally, if I were to get a spread like this, it would talk about how you guys need to have a more frank conversation, we're very honest with each other, or maybe somebody needs to go through some sort of trial to overcome some of their issues. But here in the Lovers upright and the World in reverse, it talks about needing a win for a relationship, which isn't a super sturdy foundation, to be honest with you. That's not like the, you know, that's not something you can really build a support system off of. I think that gets repeated again in the Wheel of Fortune, actually, in reverse. This is a couple who needs to win a trip together. Maybe there's some sort of proof of your relationship through a marriage. There's some sort of like everybody celebrating that you achieved something together. Something to kind of, but it feels very much in a braggy holding over other people kind of way, especially with the Lovers signifying a form of long-term commitment, which seems like a really positive thing in this spread, but it's the loitering of the long-term commitment over others. So again, I'll be honest with you, your partner doesn't really seem to care about you, which is harsh but true. I can see here in the Seven of Cups in reverse that they've kind of made their decision. They already have their perspective on you. They're kind of set in stone in that way. Yeah, I really think you should just give up on this connection. I'm so sorry that this was a bit of a harsh one to spread-wise to convey to you, but I think you should save your energy, and if they try to come at you with some form of a thing that will prove your relationship to others, watch out. It is just for them. They're a little bit mischievous. They like to get everyone riled up. Their energy is kind of going all over the place, and for sure, you don't really fully know them, to be honest with you. There's a lot of stuff that they're not telling you, and overall, you just seem too nice of a person to really have to put up with that. So yeah, go save your friendship circles and all this drama, and it's not worth it. I don't think they feel that same way about you anyways, so yeah. Kind of harsh, but it's just true. Might as well save your energy and go find the one and move on. But if you found this spread helpful and enjoyable, please consider giving it a like and subscribing. It helps out the channel like you would not believe. Either way, I hope you have a wonderful day and you get the most out of life and all that positive stuff. I will see you in the next one. Bye!